Hello everyone, welcome back to Skeledon, Bushcraft and Survival. Thank you very much for joining me. Now one thing that I absolutely love is wild edibles, wild medicinals. I love learning about them, I love using them. And today I'm showing you how to make a triple antibiotic / neosporin ointment using wild medicinals that you can probably find in your backyard. So, if you like this type of video, please hit the like button and leave a comment. Let me know this is what you would like to see. I'll be gladly to do more. Also, if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button. It greatly helps out the channel. All right, let's get on to it. Now, I've already done the first step, and yarrow and plantain. What you want to do is cut this up in small little pieces and put it in a jar. And fill just the top of it, just up to the top of it, of extra virgin olive oil. Cram as much as you can into the jar of yarrow and plantain and mix in between so they're all mixed up. Then you want to put it in a pan, fill it up with water, and fill it up as much as you can. And we're wanting to heat this up to get all the oils extracted out of the yarrow and plantain into the extra virgin olive oil. So let me go ahead and light this up and we'll get this started. We're just wanting to heat it up enough so that it will extract the oils out. If we get it too high and it starts boiling and it gets too hot, then it actually takes away any of the benefits that it could have. Even though that it's a miracle salve, I do have to point out that even though that wild edibles and wild medicinals can definitely go a long way in preventing a lot of today's problems health-wise, it can't do everything. And so the things that I show on my videos and showing you how to use the nature to help you out, that's great and wonderful, but I cannot stress enough, it would be a really dangerous thing to say that you don't need to go to the doctor and things like that, because there's a few illnesses that wild medicinals cannot cure, and you really need to go to a doctor and get medical attention. Also, I want to bring up that I'm using yarrow and plantain, and some people cannot use yarrow. They're affected by it. It actually causes a rash. And if you are that type of person that can't do that, there are other things you can substitute the yarrow with. Number one, and it's actually 3 different things that you need to replace that one yarrow with, and that would be the leaves off of a raspberry bush, ginger, and garlic. And those 3 together will do a real good job of substituting the yarrow. Unfortunately, they don't have everything that yarrow has. It won't substitute it perfectly, but close enough that you can use it and it will work for you. Alright, now I want to point out that you see some bubbles around here. That's perfect. When it starts rocking the jar, lift up on it. It really needs to maintain a very constant temperature, and you need to stay with it the entire time. Like I said before, we don't want to get it to boiling, and by just letting it sit there, it will. You've seen the glass jar move a little bit. Lift up on it and let it cool down a little bit and bring it back down. I wanted you to see that because it does take constant attention. On a stove at your house, it would be a lot easier to do this because you can control the temperature a lot better. I'm using my common propane stove, and no matter how low I get it, it seems like it continues to raise in heat. Alright, another thing that I want to add, I scooted it off the flames a little bit so that it would help out a little on the build-up, but the touch of the water is slightly too hot to touch, but it's not boiling. Also, the contents inside, the yarrow and plantain, you want to let it extract as much as it can, and you'll notice that the leaves will actually turn darker than they were when you put them in. And kind of see the color of the leaves. The color of the oil, as you'll see, will actually change a dark green color as well. Alright, so I've been letting this sit here for about 45 minutes. The leaves are real green, a lot greener than what they were. The oil, I can see, is really green too. I'm going to go ahead and take it off the fire, turn the fire off, and let that cool down a little bit. Like I said, the water is just to the point where it's too hot to put your finger in, and it's perfect. And of course, keep that same temperature all the way through. And now we're just going to go ahead and let it cool down to I say room temperature, but nature temperature. And just so I can actually touch and move around and stuff. And then I'm going to take it out and let it cool down even more before I strain all of that out. I'm going to go ahead and take this out. Get it up closer. You can see that the oil is turned real green. I'm going to set this aside because I'm going to actually need that later. Go ahead and set that there. And set that on top of there. And let it cool down. And then I'll strain it out. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and start straining it. Set this off to the side for a second. A strainer would be better. I don't have a strainer, so I'm using what I got. Go ahead and dump this in. Can you see the liquid? It's green. Go ahead and dump out all of the contents inside. And I want to let it pour through. Hope you can see that. Alright, there you go. You see, it is a dark green, just like what we want. And the very next step is putting beeswax in it. Now this right here, it's kind of a trial and error type thing. You want enough in there to make it a salve ointment, but you don't want it oily, and you don't want to go over that, or it will harden and be almost like a wax. So what I have here is a big chunk of wax, and I'm just going to shave off a little bit inside, small chunks, so that it'll melt easier. And when I get done, I'll be back. Alright, now I put some beeswax in there, and I'm sorry, I really can't tell you the exact amount on that. I just do it when it looks right, and that's it. And of course I put it in the water, and that part right there is just going to have to be a trial and error. You can cool it down. After you do this, you can cool it down and see the consistency of it. And if it's not thick enough, you can add a little bit more, redo this, and get it up to where you need it. So it's one of those things, start less than you think you'll need and work your way up. I've done this several times, so I'm pretty sure that the amount that I put in there is going to be perfect. I may be wrong. I mean, you know, it's one of those things, measuring out a teaspoon of salt in your hand, you know. You do it so long, it's like, yeah, that looks right. And after a while, I mean, it's pretty perfect, but every once in a while you mess up. But it's okay. Like I said, if I didn't add enough, I can just let it cool down and add more. I also want to bring up in this step right here, the water levels matter. Now, earlier, I had it all the way up to the brim with the yarrow and plantain with the oil all the way up to the brim, just covering it. So I had the water level up as high as I possibly could on the container. Now in this right here, of course, extracting the oil from it and pouring it back in without the extra contents in there, then the levels drop. So the water level needs to drop as well to just even too. And this is the same as the other. You've got to maintain the heat so that it slowly melts the wax into it without causing any harm to the actual substance. All right, all that wax has been melted. Again, I'm going to take it off the fire, same way that I did it before. Turn it off. Let it cool down enough to where I can actually take it out and handle it. And then I'm going to go ahead and take it out, let it set, and cool the rest of the way off. All right, and that is the almost finished product. It needs to cool down a little bit more, but then it'll be ready. And like I said, the consistency that you're wanting is Neosporin. I mean, it's an ointment, right? So that's what you're looking for. That's the consistency. And of course, like I said before, the benefits of this right here, it's literally like a Neosporin and a triple antibiotic ointment. The contents inside has an antibacterial, antimicrobial, antiseptic. It helps clot blood, as well as promotes healing for faster healing. So there it is. And you can make it from your own backyard, right? So I mean, it's a benefit. It is for external use. And like I said before, if you can't use yarrow, then you can use the substitutes that I mentioned. If you do that, then it reduces the shelf life, which brings me to the other point. The shelf life for this right here, once it's all said and done with, you can put it in the refrigerator and it'll last up to a year and a half to 2 years. However, outside of the refrigerator, it reduces that shelf life to about 6 months. If you use the substitute, then like I said, it reduces the shelf life, and so you're only talking about maybe a year in the refrigerator and maybe 2 or 3 months outside of the refrigerator. So it's just determines on what you're wanting, or depends on what you're wanting to use it for. If you want to take it out in the woods with you, then you make a smaller amount. If you want to just keep it in your house for, you know, whatever that might come up, then of course make a larger batch of it, put it in the refrigerator, and you're good to go for a while. So that's going to be it for me today. Thank you very much for coming along with me. I hope that this right here helps. And until next time, take care. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you like this type of video, please like, share, and subscribe. I have many more coming up in the future. Until then, take care. And remember, nature, it does provide.